Hello everybody, this is Lazy Rider 56. Welcome back to the channel. It's great to be back with you. I was out of town last week, so I wasn't able to post. Took my car and had a lot of stuff, so I couldn't bring the bike. But I am back. It's great to be back with you. So my plan for today, I want to go down Highway 321 to Chester, and then Highway 97 down to I-77, and then take the interstate back up to Rock Hill and back. What I want to try to do today is check out the bike, see how it handles on the interstate. I only got to ride it for 1 mile on the interstate on the initial ride back from the dealership. And this is the first chance I'm really getting to have time where I can go out and get out to the interstate and bring it back. So we'll see how it works, see how it feels, all that good stuff. Before I get started on anything, I do want to start out with an apology. I went back and looked at my previous videos, and the first 2 videos with this motorcycle, I'm bobbing my head up and down a lot. And the reason for that is I have to look down to see the speedometer. And I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there looking at something, but anyway, I have to look down to see the speedometer. On the Triumph, it was up here. I could see it a lot easier just by glancing my eyes. But on here, I have to physically move my head down to look at it because of my full face helmet. I'll try not to look down as much, but I'm gonna have to periodically to check speed. What I'm thinking about doing is getting a quad lock and then using like a speedometer app. That way I can have it mounted here on my handlebars, and that way I can glance down with my eyes instead of having to physically look down at the tank. And I'm gonna get through the red light and I'll resume conversation. Okay, we're back. I've been hesitant about getting a quad lock because I really don't like having my phone mounted up here because it's distracting to me. And I get to looking at that instead of the road, and I just don't enjoy the ride. I know a lot of motorcyclists have a quad lock there to look at GPS and stuff, but to me that's always taken away from the experience rather than adding to it. But my current OtterBox case is on its last legs. It's having flaps and all kinds of stuff start to fall off and tear off. So I'm getting to where I need a new case anyway. And so the quad lock case will give me the ability to mount it and check my speed without having to look down at the speedometer on my tank. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. I haven't fully decided if I'm going to do that yet, but it's something I'm thinking about. One thing I wanted to kind of talk about today was a funny experience I had way back when I was working. This is going to be probably labeled as the craziest, shortest job I ever worked. This was in 1993, and I went to work as a sales rep for this mom and pop kitchen and design bathhouse. And in my previous job, I had been designing kitchens using the 2020 software. If you've ever done a kitchen design, you know what that is. And so I was looking for a better job, a nicer job, and I thought maybe getting into some sort of a sales job would make more money. So I interviewed with this place. I talked to the owner. He interviewed me. And the way he explained the job, he said, yeah, there's going to be some longer hours at the beginning, but after a while you'll build up your own client base, you'll get nice commissions, and it won't be as hard. It was going to be a salary plus commission, and I would start out with some house accounts. These are contractor accounts. They pay a commission but was very small. The goal was over time you build up your own client base where you could get bigger commissions. I said, okay, that sounds good. And anyway, they offered me the job and I took it. My first day on the job, I walked in and there was a really young guy waiting. I was about 28 at the time, and there was a very young guy in the showroom waiting for me. And he introduced himself. I think it's Jim, I don't remember. But he introduced himself and said, "Hey, I'm Jim. I'm the guy you're replacing." I said, okay, well, nice to meet you. He said, I'm moving back to Utah with my family. And so I'm going to be, my Friday's my last day, so I'm going to be training you. I said, oh, great. Sounds great. So he gets me a little desk right beside an office. This office was one of these offices where it's half wall, half glass. And the desk is right beside there. And he gives me some literature and says, okay, here's some literature. Just, you can go ahead and get that organized any way you like. Okay, so I get started doing that. A little while later, the owner walks in. He walks right by me. Doesn't even say hello, good morning, nothing. And is he wait? Yep, he's waving me on. Anyway, he doesn't even say good morning, nothing. He just walks into the office. Right behind him is a woman who I found out later was his wife. And then two other men walk in there. And the four of them proceed to get in a four-way screaming match. I don't even know what it was about. It was about who was going to get a delivery done first. I don't know. And I just sat there while they're having this massive four-way screaming match behind me. Have you ever been at a friend's house and they get into a big family argument with you sitting there embarrassed? That's exactly what that was. I was like, okay, this is very strange. Then a little while later, the owner walks up and he walks by my desk. He hasn't even said good morning or welcome aboard, nothing. He just throws a booklet on my desk. And I said, what's this? And he kind of acted like perturbed that I didn't know what it was. He said, oh, that's when people take out building permits, that gets posted in that book. Your job is to start calling them to see if they want to get their kitchens done here. Oh, okay. So I'm cold calling. I don't even know the prices. I don't know the lineup of the cabinets. Nothing. I start cold calling. I'm getting a bunch of voicemails. And the answers I do get are from contractors who already have an account with that place. And they're mad. Why are you bothering me? Okay, this is awkward. And a little while later, that afternoon, me and Jim start driving around and he starts taking me to various job sites. Now the rest of the week kind of goes like that. Me just riding with Jim, getting to know his clients and whatever. Okay, a little bit of a weird start, but so far so good. And then Monday morning, Jim's gone, I move into his office and I start getting phone calls. What I found out later was this guy had sold a bunch of kitchen cabinet jobs all over the town. They were all in various states of disaster. Stuff not done right, cabinets ordered incorrectly, just fires all over town. And since I was inheriting his base, it was up to me to put them out. I spent the next 4 or 5 weeks doing nothing but trying to put out these fires and trying to work out times to go measure for the contractor jobs. It was a mess. And one day, one of the salespeople walked up to me and said, you need to get out of here as fast as you can. This place will suck you dry and you'll never be able to get out. Oh, okay. After about 5 or 6 weeks of doing nothing but putting out fires and just earning my base, base pay, no commission, I had enough. I walked into the owner's office and I pretty much told him, this is not what you told me this job was going to be about. He said, oh, yes, I did tell you that. And I did tell you you're going to have to work a lot of hours at the beginning. I said, yeah, I understand that, but I didn't know it'd be putting out fires, fixing somebody else's mistakes. He said, well, that's just the way it is. At this point, I'm like, I gotta get out of here. This is just not gonna work out. So I found out Home Depot was opening a brand new store down the street. I thought, I don't want to go back to retail, but anything's gonna be better than this. So I went in there on a Tuesday and I interviewed for the job. They called me at work Wednesday morning and offered me the position, and I took it. So I walked into the owner's office and I said, I got another job and they want me to start Monday, so Friday's gonna be my last day. He's like, okay, just tell me what you're working on. And I told him. So for the next 3 or 4 days, I did try to put out what fires I could, which wasn't much. Anyway, I left that job. I think I was there 8 or 9 weeks. I think about 8. It was the only job I ever worked at where I did not give a full 2-week notice. In my thinking, they had lied to me about the job. They just wanted somebody to come in and put out fires, and they lied to me about it. So I don't think I owed them a 2-week notice. But anyway, that was the shortest, craziest job I ever had. It was also the most dysfunctional place I ever worked at. They also had a philosophy of just sell the cabinets, just sell the job first, then we'll figure it out. No thought given to how are we going to do this. Okay, usually these were custom kitchens, which require a lot of adjustments and work on the job site by the installers. And the philosophy was don't worry about any of that, just sell it and we'll figure that out. So the place was in a perpetual state of chaos. Anyway, I left. And a few years later, I happened to be that way and I drove by it. And they were a franchise. They had lost their franchise and they now were they were then completely independent. They no longer had their franchise. They probably had it revoked. And then a few years later, again, I went by and the building was vacant. So they must have gone out of business. Didn't really surprise me. But anyway, that's my story. Alright, I'm going to shut up for now, and we're going to head down to Chester and then spin on over to I-77. Okay, I'm back, and I can't believe I just paid $4.89 a gallon for gas. Everywhere else in South Carolina is around $4 to $4.19. They were $4.89. Of course, this gas station is out in the middle of BFE. If you don't know what BFE is, go look it up. It might be right by the interstate, but it's in BFE. Alright, let's get this thing up to interstate speed. Okay, I got blinking lights, I'm recording. Alright, I'm holding 70 with no problem, and the wind blast is not a problem. Alright. 75? Well, I'll tell you what. It's a little bit higher RPMs than the Triumph because it's a smaller displacement, but man, it's got plenty more left to give. And the wind blast is not bad. Alright, let's get to Rock Hill. Okay, so we're back in York. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Getting ready to go up here and stop and pick up my mail. I had it held while I was gone. The bike did very well on the interstate. Actually, a lot better than I expected. Had a surprising amount of pickup for a 750cc bike. It handled the interstate just no problem at all. So I'll call that a success. So I'm going to wrap this up for today. This is Lazy Rider 56. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.